Welcome. You're watching Rugby with Rifle, a podcast about all things rugby and life, with your host, Danny Pabone and Rifle Scudder.
Welcome to Rugby with Rifle, a podcast about all things rugby and life. As always, I'm joined here with my friend Rifle. Rifle, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing better than I was doing on Monday after
Oh,
my Blue Bulls got absolutely slaughtered. So I'm getting there. That was a hard game to take, a hard pill to swallow. But good going to Leinster. They deserved the win. That's all I'll say. They were brilliant.
yes. I was watching just the highlights on my phone or the live, updates on my phone, and I was like, oh, I know Rifle's not happy right now.
We got pummeled, man.
And in this episode, that's actually, unfortunately, we're gonna relive this weekend in this episode, Rifle. So hopefully, you won't get down again. So yeah, a lot of action this weekend. We're gonna cover just what happened in the United Rugby Championship final. We also had the Premiership Rugby Gallagher Premiership final this past weekend, and we also had Major League Rugby playoffs. So a lot of rugby this weekend, playoff rugby this weekend, and a lot of great rugby as well. Some games were good, some games were not so good, but overall, really good, great rugby this weekend. So yeah, let's get right to it. And the first game we're going to cover, unfortunately for you, Rifle,
Mhm.
is the Leinster and Bulls game. This was the United Rugby Championship final. And as you say, Rifle, it unfortunately, the Bulls did not show up in this game, unfortunately.
No, not at all. They weren't there. That's all I'll say.
So yeah, I mean, I was just again, I was actually watching the replay of the game, and just Leinster was just, you know, too too physical, too fast, and the Bulls just for whatever reason couldn't keep up with them. And I know you had mentioned, and I I know you say this is not an excuse, but it's just the truth of rugby. Just the traveling for the Bulls for this game, coming from South Africa, having to go to Ireland, that's a that's a long trip, and it takes a toll on your body. So don't know if it was if that played a factor in the Bulls not showing up, but yeah, they did not show up, unfortunately, in this game.
Yeah, as I say, you can put on all the excuses you want, but at the end of the day, Leinster was just too
Yes.
good. But this was one of our issues in the when we still played Super Rugby. That
Mm-hmm.
was one of the things that really hit us hard because we are kind of in the middle. So when we travel, we literally travel far because it used to be just the Southern Hemisphere. So in the beginning of the competition, Super 10, Super 12, Super 14, you had New Zealand, Australia, South Africa. So when the teams of New Zealand play against Australia, it's literally get on the plane, hop over, an hour later you in New Zealand or Australia, vice versa.
Mm.
But from South Africa to go all there, it's over a day's travel. So I mean, it's a
Wow.
different time zone. It's just it wreaks havoc on your body. So that's really really bad. So what the Bulls should have done to give themselves a better chance was to make sure that they ended at number one on the table before the finals, because then you get the home final.
Mm.
And if Leinster had to fly all the way to South Africa, that would be very, very difficult on them.
Yes.
Didn't work out that way, but that's just the facts. That's the truth. That's just the way it is. So in Super Rugby, it was really difficult for the South African teams to fly to the other side of the world, and then after all those hours on the plane, get on the field and play your best. The Blue Bulls the previous week had an absolute horrific, tough game against the Sharks.
Mhm.
So to reach that level of intensity 2 weeks in a row is difficult. But if you have to play against the Sharks in the semis and then after you win, get on a plane and fly all the way to Europe and then face Leinster, makes us twice as hard. But it's no excuse. It's just these things count in rugby. You have to
Yes.
take these things into consideration. It's not woe is me. We had to travel. Well, if you don't want to travel, make sure you end up number one, and then you can get a home final. That's just the way it is. So well done, Leinster. Absolutely. One of the things that the Bulls pride themselves on is their scrums. And
Mm.
Leinster got quite a couple of scrum penalties for them because even in the scrums, they were pretty dominant. So don't know what happened, don't know what went wrong, but on the day, Leinster, congratulations, you guys were great.
Yeah, yeah, and it's just like in American football, uh, you know, actually recently, uh, the team that comes in, that's number one in the conference, for those who don't follow American football, you have the uh, American Football Conference, then you have the National Football Conference. Those are the two conferences. So the number one team in each conference gets a bye in the first week of the playoffs, and they also have home field advantage. So it's like you say, it's a huge thing to have home field advantage in the playoffs, as you say, like in American football. Before it used to be the top two teams will have a bye, but now, a few years ago, they just switched it to the first team, and then you have what's called a wild card game. But that's American football. But the point of it, what I'm trying to say is, it's very true that when you have that number one spot, it's a huge advantage for your team to stay home, not have to travel far, have more time to practice, and not have to worry about that. Just that toll that travel takes on your body. So yeah,
Mm, yeah, definitely. Big
but
factor.
but nonetheless, like you say, that's not an excuse. The Bulls did not perform, and we just see here, uh, Leinster scored 4 tries, had two penalty kicks. They just missed one of their conversion kicks, so they got 3 out of 4. So yeah, and Bulls did not score until the 50th minute. So yeah, it was until the 50th minute. It was just Leinster was overpowering. And the thing about Leinster is as well. Speaking about the British and Irish tour, as we've spoken about before, Leinster has, I believe, the number is 11 players or 12 players that were selected for the British and Irish tour. So yeah, I mean, like you say, it was South Africa against Ireland,
It's
pretty much
basically,
in
yeah,
this game.
it's the Irish team. And I mean, we saw how well Ireland are doing. They, a
Yes.
formidable team. So other than, if you take Archie Snyman, who's a Springbok, and you take Barrett, who's an All Black, if you take those guys out, I mean, the rest of them, or almost all of them, play for Ireland. So they no,
Mm.
they are an exceptional team. So well done. Blue Bulls did good in the season. They came second. Well done, Bulls. But Leinster, they just, man, they're something else.
Yes, yes, they are. And one of Leinster's coach is, I'm going to let you pronounce his name.
Jacques Nienaber.
Thank you. I would have never pronounced that. And as everybody knows, he was heavily featured in Chasing the Sun series, something that we've covered on this podcast, I believe episodes 4 and 5, if I'm not mistaken. So everybody, please check those episodes out if you haven't yet. So yeah, he's a defensive guru, And if you were, and not to give away too much, but if you were to watch that series, particularly Chasing the Sun 2, you will see his name again.
Jacques Nienaber.
There you go. You will see him heavily featured in the series, and he's a just a you know along with Rossi, just a brilliant mind for strategy and what to do when your backs are up against the wall. So yeah, great coach from South Africa.
Yeah, because he coached with Rassie in the 2019 World Cup.
Mm,
They coached the Springboks together, and we weren't given a chance. But he came up with what we call the rush defense and just perfected
mm,
it to a T. And I did it with Leinster, so they absolutely just smothered the Blue Bulls. They couldn't do anything, so they had to try something different and try and pull a rabbit out of a hat where there wasn't a hat at all. And they just made mistakes, and it's just because of that smothering defense of Leinster that they just could absolutely just very, very clinically take them out. So yeah, you can definitely see the fingerprints of Jock Nienaber in that team, and he's a brilliant coach. So him and Rassie together are phenomenal. But well done to him, yeah. So South African coach winning the URC, that's pretty amazing.
yes, it is. Yes, it is. So everyone, that was the United Rugby Championship final. Let's move on. I don't want to torture Rifle anymore. So let's move on to the Gallagher Premiership final that occurred this past Saturday as well, June 14th. And we had Bath Rugby against Leicester Tigers. And this game was 3/4 of the game. Bath was just very dominant, aggressive. I'm gonna show a play from by Finn Russell, which was just a masterful play during the game. So yeah, 3/4 of the game, Bath was just dominant, and then Leicester made the game very interesting. The last quarter of the game, the last 20 minutes of the game, um, made the Bath players sweat a little bit, but Bath was able to hold on and win the championship. So yeah, this game, um, well, like I said, the last 20 minutes was very interesting.
It was good rugby, yeah, till the end. It wasn't one where one team just ran away with it and you knew who was
Yes.
going to win. It was seesaw up and down. So it was a good game of rugby in the end. It was great.
Yeah. Yes. And one thing that again, Finn Russell again bringing this up. Finn Russell performance in the Six Nations wasn't, uh, let's just say, wasn't what people expect from him. So let's just put it that way. Especially his kicking game. His kicking game wasn't great during Six Nations. However, during the Premiership season after the Six Nations, uh, one thing I remember him mentioning in an interview, in a post-game interview that he had, was after his performance at Six Nations, he worked really hard at his kicking game. And I forget, he said he would kick the ball, I forget how many times a day he said at practice. So he really worked on his kicking. And in this game, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he was perfect in his kicking game. He made all his conversion kicks and he made all the penalty kicks. So yeah, all that practice with his kicking, I
Paid
guess,
off.
has made a difference, has paid off. And another thing, just to refresh everybody's mind, Finn Russell is also was selected for the British and Irish tour. So that was another player for Andy Farrell that wasn't able to go to the training camp in Portugal because he was playing in this final. So now with the URC and the Gallagher Premiership, now with those seasons officially being over, all those players could join the Lions and for what were able to join the Lions. I believe either Monday, Tuesday. So they had only a couple of days of probably of practice before they meet up with Argentina tomorrow. So yeah,
Not a lot of time there, yeah. So difficult for Andy Farrell, but good to give other guys that are not playing in all the finals a chance. So, on the one hand, it's difficult, but on the other hand, it's good because now you've got fewer players to pick from, and you want to give maybe the younger guys, because this is not the test. The test is literally when they go to Australia. So it's
yes,
a warm up, whatever you want to call it, exhibition game. But not having people like Finn Russell there gives an opportunity for the other two fly-offs that are there to play them. And so the good with the bad.
yes, and a test or not a test. I'm sorry, a practice match, I should say, against Argentina, which is as we know, is you know, quickly becoming a powerhouse in international rugby over the past decade or so. So this is going to be a good practice match for the Lions before they start their other practice matches against other club level teams in Australia, and then finally against the Wallabies doing the actual tour part of the tour of the series. So yeah, it's gonna be. I'm gonna be anticipating how they show tomorrow against Argentina to see. You know, with the lack of practice and everything, with the practically almost half of the team because they were playing at their club for their club level teams. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting uh, what type of performance they put out towards Argentina tomorrow. So we shall see.
Yeah, we'll wait. Have to wait and see.
Yes, and two big names in English rugby that are retired after the Premiership finals are Dan Cole and Ben Young. So they decided to hang up their cleats, as they say, after this unfortunate loss to Bath. And just we have here their highlights. They have had very similar careers here. The
Yeah,
only
come from the same
difference,
youth group and
yes.
brought through the ranks at the very same time. So started the same time. So British and Irish Lions, same time, English Test, all of
Mhm.
that. So there were a couple of players in the England side, these two, and another one that retired earlier the year, Joe Marler. They all played
Mhm.
together as youngsters and came through the system. That's why I constantly talk about the feeder system. If you get the guys young and you raise them in the rugby culture and you bring them from a very young age, so that these two guys just brilliant. Both of them centurions for England, World Cup, many World Cups, British and Irish Lions. So two stalwarts of the game for England retiring as well. So England have lost quite a couple of players this year, but they did so well. So yes, after they received their second place medals, they put the medals around their necks and they left the rugby field for good.
Yeah. Yes, they have, unless they ever decide to come back in a coaching position or something like that. But yeah, pretty much they're gonna be off the field, rugby field, for the rest of their lives. So
Yeah.
yeah,
They've got their own podcast, so they'll still definitely be involved in rugby. I just don't
yeah.
think on the field, but they've got a good podcast going as well. So
And Ben Youngs is the current record holder for the most test caps for England at 127. So he's played in the most games for the English national rugby team. than anybody in the history of the team. So yeah, uh, that's a big achievement in the
Giant
world
in
of rugby.
English rugby for sure.
And the 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 one thing, I always, you know, me obviously I'm not a professional athlete, but I always hear, you ever, as you say, when you get to this level, usually players that get to this level of rugby, international rugby, start from a very young age. And you have their parents taking them to matches and practice and all this stuff. Then they become an adult, go to high school, then they go to the academies together, then they go to, then you have the U20. They play in the U20. Then they go to the senior team. So you have players like this. I believe both of these gentlemen are in their mid to late 30s, if I'm not mistaken. So you're talking about what, 25, 26 years of them playing rugby, and then just to retire and then poof, not having to go to games, not having to go to practice, not having to go to meetings. I always wonder how a lot of athletes take that, going from 100 miles per hour being a professional athlete to now, what am I going to do on the weekends or the weekdays now?
Very difficult, yeah, indeed.
Yes. And then you have those players, unfortunately, in some cases, that spend too much money and then they retire broke. But that's a whole nother issue, a whole nother podcast. But yeah, so congratulations to Dan Cole and Ben Youngs on your retirement. Enjoy your retirement. And as you say, they have a podcast, so I'm sure they're going to be still heavily involved in rugby. So yeah,
Very much
really
so,
cool
yeah.
to see. And if that was not enough action this weekend of rugby, we also had the Major League Rugby playoffs this past weekend as well. So, yeah, a lot of amazing rugby this weekend. And these are the results of the two, actually, I'm sorry, the four conference semifinal games. So we have the New England advancing, Chicago, Utah, and Houston are all advancing to their conference finals. So yeah, so now we're at the conference finals. One more game before we see who's gonna play for the Major League Rugby Championship 2025. All these games were fairly close. The only game that wasn't really close was the Free Jacks, who are the defending champions, against the Miami Sharks. Free Jacks just totally dominated that game. But every other game was pretty good and a tough fought game until the end. So yeah. Um, so another South African coach who coaches the Houston Sabercats, by the name and Pote Human. Did I get his name
Put
right?
the Iman.
Ah,
Put the Iman. Close.
close, close. I'm getting there. Maybe
Put the
by
Iman, yeah.
maybe by 100th episode, I'll get his name right. So yeah, Houston Sabercats' first playoff win this year. So yeah, I'm sure they're happy. They're happy to see, the Houston fans are happy to see that with their first playoff win.
Yeah, excellent.
And another thing with Houston, the Houston Sabercats are the only team that have a stadium that is purely for rugby as well. So yeah, that's so. And their stadium, actually, the backdrop of the stadium is the mountains of Utah. Beautiful, beautiful area. So, yeah, congratulations to all the teams that advanced. And so yeah, that's pretty cool. So now they're gonna have their conference finals this weekend, and each team is gonna be fighting to get into the championship game, which is on the 28th. So just to end this episode, I just wanted to highlight some of the action of this weekend. And the first play that I wanted to highlight, I know I said I wasn't gonna torture you anymore in this episode, Rifle, but I lied. Please forgive me. So this first play that I wanted to highlight here is the USC final, and this is just a brilliant play. And let me just play it here. So we're gonna have a double kick. First kick, second kick, chase it down, score.
No one behind there. Nobody there to cover. Yeah.
Yes. And that was a good point right there. Rifle, you just mentioned it. Look at that. If we play this play again, look at that. No white shirts on defense, and just a brilliant play. Brilliant play. There you go. Wow. Second play I wanted to highlight. This play was from the Premiership finals, Bath against Leicester Tigers. And this is a play that I mentioned at the beginning of the episode by friend Russell here. So we have Bath here going to take the ball. I'm sorry, Leicester has the ball
Bark is
here.
blue.
Yes, I'm sorry, please. So Leicester has the ball here, and they commit a huge no in rugby. And this was actually Andre Pollard who committed this mistake here. So I'm just gonna run the play here. We have the first play, and boom. We have Finn Russell intercept the ball, passes it to his teammate, score the try. So this right here, oh, let me just fast forward here. My apologies. Okay, there we go. Come on. Okay, I'm having some technical difficulties here.
Yeah, Finn
Oh, here we
Russell
go.
was just hiding there, waiting to seize,
Yep.
pounce the moment.
So this is Andre Pollard right here, and he has his back to the defense, and he doesn't notice Finn Russell charging because Finn Russell already knows what's about to happen, and he's charging because he knows it's about to happen, and boom, intercepts the ball. So just a matter of Andre Pollard having his back to the defense, not knowing what the current situation around him was, him passing the ball, and unfortunately when he passed the ball, Finn Russell was there to catch it, run, and pass it to his teammate and score. So yeah, so I'm sure Andre Pollard will want that one back.
Yeah, very glad he's not wearing a green and gold jersey in that game
Yes.
doing that.
So you will say to Pollard, you could do that when you're playing for Leicester. Don't do that when you're playing
There
for
you go,
South
no
Africa.
problem, yeah.
And the last two players I wanted to highlight here are from one from the Eastern Conference in the MLR. So we have here again Chicago against Old Glory, DC Old Glory, and so we have another
Intercept.
interception, another intercept, and another score. And this one was pretty much like this the last one we showed, where you have a player making a desperate pass. Let me just cue this up here, replay this here again. Right there, a player not realizing his surroundings. And to be fair, he's getting tackled, so he probably didn't see that there was a Chicago Harm player right there. The fact that he was being tackled. But wasn't paying attention, passed it right to a Chicago Harm, waiting Chicago Harm player. And as you see there, score. And the last play I wanted to highlight here is the Major League Rugby Western Conference semis here. Again, won by the Houston SaberCats. So we have receiving the kick. A beautiful kick to his teammate. And that's just speed right there. The rest of it's just speed.
Brilliant. Yeah, very well done.
This kick right here reminded me of a pass in American football. I mean, this kick was just what they call in what they say in American football when the quarterback makes a beautiful pass where it just falls into the receiver's hands, a drop in the bucket. So this was a drop in the bucket kick because this kick was just perfect. Just want to play this again. Kick. Just perfect. Look at that. Dropped right into his hands. And like I say, the rest is just speed.
Brilliant try.
Oh. So, yes, that was this weekend's action-packed weekend of rugby. So lots of great rugby this weekend, Rifle, and lots of rugby to come with the British and Irish Tour Lions starting their first practice match with Argentina tomorrow. I remember you mentioning you have South Africa playing the Barbarians. Is it that at the end of this month? Oh, next weekend.
Next weekend. Yeah. So weekend.
And please remind everybody what the Barbarian team is again.
And Barbarians is just basically an invitation. It's an exhibition team, so to speak. They choose different players from all around the world. So you'll have guys from New Zealand, Ireland, France, Wales, all together, and they pick one side, and then they play against a national team. Okay. So it's running rugby. It's exciting. It's one of the nicest games to watch normally are the Barbars, because there's nothing to lose. So they'll throw the ball. It's normally very exciting. So
it's like
South Africa next week.
It's like a all-star game here in the United States where you just like the team they just try anything because they know it's not a game.
Right.
If they lose, it doesn't matter. It doesn't count towards their record or anything like that.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so that's cool. And then this summer you have the Women's World Cup. You have in England. You have the Rugby Championship Series as well. The Southern Hemisphere teams are playing. And then, as everybody knows, the Autumn Nations series as well in the fall. So I'm loving this rugby all year, great rugby all year. So it's pretty cool to watch and experience.
Very much so.
So with that, everyone, I hope you enjoyed this episode of the great rugby that was played this past weekend. And we're going to continue to talk about all the great rugby that's going to occur over the next few weeks. So very exciting stuff. Rifle, thanks again. And we will see everybody next time.
Thanks for watching, everyone. Cheers.
Take care, everybody. Until next time. Thank you for watching this episode of Rugby with Rifle. Remember to press the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet to support this podcast.